Hello, this is Frank Favaro, president and founder of Serve-Centric Coaching, and I'm super excited to be sponsoring the Undeniable podcast. When we talk about business today, everyone's looking to create an advantage. But how do you find it? Everything is copied with technology. Innovation is hard to come by. We can find it with customer experience. The experience that you provide to your customers and to your employees determines the value you bring to the marketplace. We will create a plan for you that will get your business to the next level. You can find us at www.serve-centric.com. That's serve-centric. Serve, S-E-R-V-E -centric, C-E-N-T-R-I-C.com. And you can reach me personally at 330-715-5361. Thank you.
David Rosenberg, how are you, brother?
Well, I'm doing well, Peter. How are you?
Yeah, well, this is our first video recording, okay, that I'm doing, and it's undeniable, obviously. And so I love that you are, because we're in the same business, starting, right? Marketing, that we're doing this for the first time where we're elevating it in a marketing capacity, and I appreciate you being on.
Oh, you're welcome. I guess we were told we have a face for radio, but I guess now we're past that.
Exactly. Although I've been on some commercials before because I was cheap labor.
I've been it. Same here. We've done that many times.
Indeed. Well, David, you've done some tremendous work in the marketplace, not only locally for some of the iconic brands in Northeast Ohio, but obviously nationally and internationally as well. And I really wanted to start with what motivated you, inspired you to get into, we both came out of the tail end of Mad Men, right? The 3 martini lunches. I remember going to some of those, in the 80s and stuff. But, you're my age or a few years older. And you had that experience so that there that really creative, magnificent time, particularly in Northeast Ohio, where we were almost like Mad Men, you know what I mean? So what inspired you to get into that situation?
Well, to be honest, everybody gets a break now and then. I guess the skill is knowing when you get a break.
Yes.
And I started a business. First of all, I wanted to get in the ad business. So out of college, the first 2 years I had a corporate job, large company, Fortune 50 company, but it wasn't for me. And living in, actually, my territory was New York City, so exciting. But a friend of my dad's, my dad worked at the Plain Dealer, started his ad agency and was looking for somebody to help him get clients. My dad called me and said, I think here's your chance if you want to get in the ad business. So I did. I moved from my job out east, took a half cut in pay to take this account executive job at an agency, and I loved it. 10-person agency, fast paced.
That's the best thing, right? 10-person agency.
Yeah, it was great. A lot of retail clients, and after about 2 years, one of my retail clients, and you're from Cleveland, so Carpet Barn and Tile House. Wow. That was so I was handling that account. I will not say the name of the agency I worked for, but I was the account executive, and the owner of Carpet Barn, Don Plasko, just said to me one day, just working with him on some ads, sorry, kid, but we're firing you guys. And, I said, well, why? And he said, well, no, you're great. And I said, the work we're doing is good. Right on, the work is great. We just don't like your boss. Sorry, but we like you, kid. So think about it. But if you want to start your own business with one account, us, we're interested. So
what year was that?
That was in 1981. I literally got married 6 months before that. My wife I met out east. So we moved from New Jersey to Cleveland, 6 months into it. And again, the company pay would have been another half cut in pay, but it was my own business. So talked to my wife, talked to my dad, and said, what do you think? Yeah. And we said, you know what? It'll be good experience. And who expects the business to last that long anyways when you start it? So I did, so I started with one account and I got lucky. I think in my mind, I probably wanted to start a business, but I wasn't really thinking, 2 years into my agency career at the age of 26, I didn't think I was quite. But, I got a lucky break.
Baptism of fire, too, right?
Yeah. And the parting words Don Plasko said, I won't say the exact words, but, don't F it up, kid. And, and I said, okay, I won't F it up. And, I was motivated. I didn't want to disappoint them. And so, I found freelancers and, it was me. So I found freelancers and got it done. And about 6 months after, I started to get confidence and I started to knock on doors and picked up a few other accounts, all locally owned retail. That was our thing. Locally owned, family owned retail, chains in Cleveland. Then I hired a guy. And then we picked up some more accounts and I hired a lady. And then you know how it goes. So,
well, listen, I started my business the same way with one waterbed emporium.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember them.
Ray Salupo, God rest his soul.
Yeah,
so
I remember them.
I know. And all of a sudden, it was a $750,000 a year. Let's go. It's like, oh, figure it out. Yeah. So
you learn. And so, and it just, honestly, it took me 5 years till I really felt I was a solid business. Gotcha. Every day was a new day. But I got to say, when I started, I was so excited. I mean, I just, and I've been in business a long time now, but those first few years were so so raw. Every win was so celebrated. Every loss killed you. Sort of like the Monday after a Browns game. But I mean, it was just, it was so wonderful. Such a feeling of independence. And, I love that feeling. And after about 5 years, I started to feel, I think we have something here. I think at that point I was up to maybe 6 people. Over the years, things have changed in our business, obviously. But at the beginning, I just did the old school things. I mean, I just, I did what I said I was going to do.
Yep.
If somebody called me, I called them right back.
Right.
Get my promises.
Yeah.
I did the small things well. And then I sort of taught my staff the same thing. Guys, I'm not going to say we're the most creative yet or even the best agency, but nobody's going to outwork us and, be human beings. I mean, I think if we're doing that, we're probably going to beat 70% of our competition. And then as years went by, I think we started to get better at our marketing skills. But that's how we started. I mean, it was a lucky break, but I think I did the right thing by taking it, understanding it was a break and then taking it.
And that's the thing. I mean, it's not only hard work, it's luck. And, they say the harder I work, the luckier I get. Right. But also too, what I also found is that it's difficult when you start out because you got to take clients that you may not want to take sometimes. And you get burned, right? And you got that scar, but it heals and you figure it out. And I think that ultimately what that teaches you is the kind of people that you want to be surrounded with. And I think that probably, I'm just assuming this, but when you hit your stride, you were surrounded by those types of clients as well as staff and vendors. Am I assuming?
That is a good point. I mean, that's a great point. I had a lot of characters, as you probably did too. When you start out,
retail.
I mean, so I had, from furniture dealers to car dealers to, I had characters. Nowadays we're more selective, we're more established, but I learned so much. I learned so many stories. Some of them were questionable, I guess you could say. But when you build a business, you're not choosy. I mean, if somebody wants to work with you, they're a great client. I mean, I was a kid. I was, a young kid in my 20s, just learning the business. But you had
to buy diapers for Austin eventually, right? You're like, hey, I gotta feed this kid.
Yeah, well, I got Austin and my older daughter Ariel. Yeah, it was so much fun at the beginning. I mean, I've loved the marketing business overall for over these 40 years. But the first few years, which I know you could relate to, it is really exciting just being in business for yourself. The marketing industry is a fun industry, but you got to perform. You get a smart card every weekend, and particularly in retail. But I learned so much from those first few years, my first few clients. Some of them took me under their wing. I was like another son to them, and I learned from them. I learned from them, not only marketing, but how they make money, and that's one thing I learned too from a lot of my clients, just, how to focus on what you do well and maybe don't worry about the things you don't do as well and focus on that. So yeah, the first few years were fun, characters.
Isn't it fun? Wasn't it fun driving around town and then seeing, hey, we did that logo.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Or that billboard's ours. Or, and you see, and you're watching TV, hey, Sonny, come in. Look at this commercial we just did. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool.
Like you said, it was the old Mad Men day. We were at the tail end of the Mad Men days, but I still remember presenting. I mean, there was no PowerPoint. I mean, we held up these artboards, and like on an easel, and just flip to the next one. And I loved it. I look at the Plain Dealer over the weekend. I'd see like my clients, in the newspaper.
Sure.
People read a newspaper, billboards on 480 and 77.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, it's different, obviously,
It is. It's so fragmented, and you're like, oh, well, okay, what? Now Threads, and we've got YouTube, and we've got TikTok, and
it's pre-rolling, like, some video online somewhere.
Yeah, well, you get a feed, right? And this, sadly, this TikTok influencer just died, and he's 41. You're like, ooh. You know what I mean? Or Mr. Beast has just offered $10 billion for his YouTube channel. Okay. And he's opening up, restaurants, pop-up restaurants. He's got 400 burger joints. Wow. It's a different world, brother.
It's a different world. And thankfully, I have younger people now running the business who grew up in that world and understand it.
Well, I met your son, and I was really impressed with him. Austin's a terrific young man. Not so young anymore, right? He's a middle-aged man.
Yes.
But you guys are still kicking it, man. And you've got some great clients. And I want to talk about the evolution of Rosenberg Advertising. In that beautiful home that you put it in. It's pretty cool on the west side of Cleveland. And I also want to talk about maybe a moment or two with some of the, whether it's, a partner or a client or a vendor that really resonated with you. And then what did you do with that moment, that blunt tie moment, if you will, and we have so many of those, right? But I want to do that after the break.
Sure.
And we'll come back after the break. This is Coach Cimrone for Undeniable. We'll be right back.
Infinite Search Solutions, recruitment and placement search services at its finest. Northeast Ohio's premier, easy, fast, and simple way to find the great and perfect candidate that you deserve. Matt Burns and his incredible team at Infinite Search Solutions are terrific. We are proud to have them as a sponsor. Reach out to Matt at 440-249-0485 or at their website, www.finite.com.
And we're back with David Rosenberg. David, how you doing, man?
Doing well, Peter. Great to be with you.
Great first session. I want to talk, David, a little bit, and I wanted this segment to be a little bit longer than the first segment, about some of the people that you talk about characters, but I'm sure as you aged as an agency, right, and you evolved and matured, you met some pretty sophisticated people that were doing some really cool things. Was there any conversation that you had or any moment in time that really resonated with you and evolved you, if you will, transformed you? And then what did you do with that transformation, internally and externally?
Yeah, I would say there was one time in our business life and one client that sort of catapulted us. It was we were about in our midway point. I would say, maybe not. Maybe it was like 15 years into the business. It was a situation that came to me. This guy called and said he got my name, and he was looking to hire a retail agency. His name was Charlie Bayer. He was an executive at Joann Fabrics, and he just went to work for this sewing company. It was actually Viking Sewing. They were in Cleveland, but it was a wholesaler for a division of Husqvarna Viking. It's a sewing machine made in Sweden.
Yes.
And he used to work at Joanne Fabrics, and he approached Joanne Fabrics and said, we'd like to lease out like 800 square feet in a store and put a sewing machine gallery in there. And we think this could be something.
Okay.
So they tested it out in Hudson. They interviewed about 5 agencies, and they were small. It was one store, but they had plans to grow. He liked me, and they hired us. And they basically wanted to test this concept out, a store within a store, selling sewing machines in a Joanne Fabrics, which is a crafting store. And then he introduced me to his marketing manager, John Howitt. So basically the two of the guys and me, and then I got involved. My first employee, Dave Simon. So the guy I hired 2.5 years into my business, he's still with me. So he's been with me actually 41 years.
So Rob, that's awesome.
And Dave,
never happens anymore, dude.
You know what? We're lucky. I know our staff has been with us over 20 years, believe it or not. But Dave was he was an old school creative guy. And basically their hope was to build this one store up to a chain of about 20 stores, regionally. So we did research with these folks. First of all, they were great. Very sophisticated. I mean, Charlie, basically was vice president of Joanne Fabrics. So, he wasn't like the character of my first few clients. I mean, this was a very polished,
plus Viking, isn't Viking like the Bentley or Rolls Royce of sewing machines? I mean, it is.
Well, there's that. And then there's another one, Pfaff. And then there's Singer, which they've actually since merged. So all three of them are together.
Okay.
But
makes sense.
This concept, we decided we were going to do a lot of targeted direct mail. It was not hard to find sewers. So, that was back in the day where direct mail, was a really good way to pinpoint.
Particularly if it was done right, it was killer.
It was. And so we started that strategy. So it went from 1 store to 10 stores to 20 stores, which was their goal. But within 2 years, they were up to 250 stores. And it was just a phenomenal, success story. It became such a great account. I mean, it was basically the biggest and best account we've ever had. And the growth was pretty quick. So we had to staff up. It was really the only time in my agency life that I staffed up for a client. I mean, usually we were pretty lean. But
so how many stores did it finally come to again?
It ended up being, they had 250 stores within stores. So it became like a national situation.
Sure.
We didn't really advertise like national TV. We almost looked at it as a spot market, but we were in like 40 markets, and then multiple stores in the Dallas market, multiple stores in the Denver market, and so on and so forth. But
sure,
this account and I love these people. I mean, not only was it successful, they became, like Dave and myself, they became our friends. We would go to conventions together. I wasn't a big gambler, but a lot of conventions were in Las Vegas. So John Howard and Dave Simon would love to go to the casino, so I'd watch them gamble. We became friends with them. And it was such a good ride, pretty much a 10-year ride. And then they sold to a private equity firm. And, things changed a little bit. But we still have them as a client. So, I mean, we've had this client for about 25 years. We've been, up and down the roller coaster with them as they've been bought and sold by probably 3 private equity firms at this point. Okay. But it was my first, I would say, really big client. But the thing was, I really like these people. I mean, I like all our clients, but I mean, they became really good friends. Unfortunately, both those gentlemen have passed away. But they taught me a lot. They were really fair people. And they treated us with a lot of respect. And a lot of people think in our business, you need to be sort of like a hard ass to get ahead. And I realized that they were so nice to us and my staff, we would run through multiple brick walls for them. I mean, because they respected us. I mean, and we knew if something was important, and sometimes they would require a new Joanne Fabrics, like a store would then say, okay, we want you to put your sewing gallery in. You have a week to get ready, and we need to open in 8 days. But we had to go to a market that people we didn't even know about and have ads ready and in direct mail ready to go. And, so, I mean, there were a lot of evenings or nights we're working to get this done, but they asked in such a, they expected us to do it, of course, but they, it wasn't get this done or else, kid. They appreciated that. And then we would work even harder for them. And that was a really good lesson I learned too. In that,
well, it was a springboard for other clients too. It gave you such a great platform and experience level and success, right? Deliverable, right? So that's the cool thing.
It gave us it actually gave us confidence to plan a little bit. I think we went up from maybe a single A team to maybe a triple A, a little bit of major league team.
Sure.
And it did help us. It made us all feel, and I know personally it gave me a lot of confidence that, you know what, I think maybe we do know what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, obviously with what's happened with Joanne Fabrics, you've seen, the real highs and the real lows, particularly with what's going on with retail. With that, were you able to be some type of a confidant, maybe a shoulder to cry on to some degree, or some form of don't worry, we got you, because retailers go through tough stuff sometimes,
Yeah.
They rely on their people,
Yeah, it was and actually it still is a very good relationship. And even some of the times when they were bought and sold, and then after these two gentlemen, other people I had met then rose to the organization. And a young lady who was a salesperson initially became president. The new company is now SVP Singer Viking Pfaff. So they merged all three of them, and they've since moved to Nashville, where Singer is based out of.
Yeah.
But so I grew up with the person Barbara, who became the president, and confident. They would sell to a private equity firm, and she'd say, you know what, this may affect you, but we're not. The relationship's still there, but it may be bumpy for a while. And then when they were, times when they were really tough, and we would sometimes, do things that maybe we wouldn't charge like we normally would charge, just to help them get through some. So it was a two-way relationship, and that's one thing I've learned too. Is sometimes maybe you're not charging what you normally would charge. You're doing things to help somebody get through something. It's remembered. If you have a good relationship, it's remembered, and it works both ways. So this is one of those cases where, again, it's a 25-year relationship. I mean, they were the marquee client for us, and it's sort of springboard for us. But it's maybe not the same as it was, but on the other hand, it's still a 25-year relationship we have.
Yeah.
And I value those, and that's another thing that in my business, I mentioned like half our staff has been with us, 20 years or longer. I sort of value these long-time relationships. I'm a sort of a relationship guy. So luckily we have our top three clients are clients we've had for 15 to 25 years and a lot of long-term employees. So I don't do well on this treadmill of always looking for new business or looking for new people. I mean,
it's expensive too. It's expensive, and it's also emotionally draining. But the beautiful thing that I think that this client engendered in you was elevating you to that level of confidence, maybe for the first time.
Yeah.
Maybe you had it before, but to this level. And when you reach that status, that's where you want to be as a business owner, I think.
Yeah, well, I agree.
Calling you for more than just business, right?
Yeah, and we've had really good relationships even before that, but this one definitely, this was a seminal one for us. I mean, it was just, and for me, I mean, it was first of all, great business for us, great people to work with. And what it did was, which is basically, invaluable. It gave us confidence. Sure. It gave me and our team confidence that, we helped this relatively big company in a new venture, and they treated us with respect. And not everything, how this works. Not everything works that we do. It's the nature of our business. And, I always say everything, we're not going to recommend everything that's going to work. We try, but if you have a good enough relationship, they'll say, okay, we're going to win the next one. We lost, we didn't win this one, but
we learned. We learned, we sailed forward, and we owned it.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I never heard that before, but fail forward. I think that's exactly right.
Right.
And this was a really good case of that. And then we learned. I mean, we did other things initially besides direct mail and different things, but we started to realize what worked, what didn't. And then even, sometimes we try something new, but the relationship was so strong and the trust was so strong that they allowed us, they gave us room to try and fail forward, as you would say, and learn. And then the next time, maybe learn some of what we learned and tweak it a little bit. So it was, and then, again, we still have them, but it personally gave me a lot of confidence. I think, I still carry that to this day. And I think that one really was, we've had a lot of great clients over the years. I mean, tons of them, but this one was the one, like you said, pick one moment. That was my one moment.
It's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And so you have, you're pretty much out of the day-to-day, right?
I'm pretty much, I hate to use the word retired, but I talk to my son and Melissa all the time, but they're running the business. I mean, we've had a succession plan. I mean, they're the majority owners. By far, they're running the business. So that was always my dream to try to transfer it internally if I could. And, with my son, Austin, and then Melissa, who, sort of like a daughter to me, it's a great, I love these people. And, so I got lucky.
Yeah. So what do you see the future for Rosenberg and for our industry?
Well, for Rosenberg, I feel it's good. I got, Austin and Melissa are extremely smart. And we have a great team, very, pretty steady team, actually. So I think they're always looking, you got to stay up with things now. Things have changed so much. And again, this passed me by, but it's not them. So, even things like artificial intelligence, how to use that, how to use it to your benefit. If you're not going to stay up with it, then you're going to get passed by. And we had to reinvent ourselves many times over the 40 years. And this is something where you're almost looking daily and seeing we can't be left behind. We have to understand what's next. So I think what's in for the industry is you just have to stay very agile. It's just, we were never a believer in one media or whatever. I mean, we were sort of media agnostic. Whatever it took to win, we would do. So,
best practice. Yep. Best practice.
So, our job is to know all of it so we know what to recommend, but it's sort of like, tactic agnostic, but, we have to get the message right, the brand right, and then how we reach people, you just have to sort of see where it's going. So I think, the industry is still going to change a lot, but I think I have really smart people, who care. They're smart people and they really care. They care about the client. They care about our team. They're good human beings. So I feel really confident that, Rosenberg Advertising is going to continue as long as
yes,
you guys wanted to, and I know they wanted to. So,
well, David, from the beginning, and I only know you not really well, but always respected you as a competitor. Not so much now because I'm not that's not what we do. But that was always the noise out there about you. It's just good people, and that's hard to deny. If you keep that foundation, it's hard not to be successful in my estimation. So it's really encouraging to hear that continues to be successful because those are good foundational pieces for any business, let alone ours.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to be, I appreciate you saying that, you don't need to call yourself a good person, but I believed in the old school, I call it the old school skills, but ultimately you care. I mean, I was never like an official coach like you were, but in a way I was, I treated a business or my role as a coach, and, it's, you have certain fundamentals, human characteristics you want to impart. And if people adopt that, I think the business part falls in line, but it's sort of hard to fake it. You gotta do the fundamentals, whether it's a sport like wrestling or, baseball or running a business. And so I feel, culturally, that was a big part of what I'd like to do is create the right culture, Sometimes you don't hire right and somebody doesn't fit. Well, then you move on. But, get the right people and
Good news and bad news fast.
Yeah.
That was my motto.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And also, I always was still am, very concerned about my mental health of my employees, my partners, everybody that's in my world. I want that to be a fundamental thing that they feel not just safe, but also just okay, at least. Okay. So I get that.
No, I agree. I use the word with a lot of my people. I want them to have a good work-life balance.
Yes.
And even well before COVID, I mean, we did some working from home. I mean, not as much as COVID, but we allowed people to work from home on Fridays many years ago. I have a lot of working moms. I mean, over half my business are women with kids, and realized quickly, all our basically our attributes are rolled up in the people who work for us. So if you find good people, you want to keep them. That became evident relatively early for me. And, I always wanted people to I obviously want people to work hard and do the best they can. We need that. But on the other hand, I want them to live a life, live the life they want to live. So I always, we talked about work-life balance, in our office a lot. Individually, I talked about that a lot. And if somebody was skewed, I could tell that they were getting burned out, and they were doing a great job for us. I would try to work with them to figure it out. Well, how can we make this better for you?
Yeah, that's beautiful. And David, I just love everything we've talked about today, and your whole mentality, but also your aura. It's wonderful. And so that said, leave the audience, if you will, with a word of encouragement and inspiration from the mind of David Rosenberg and Rosenberg Advertising. And then please share with us where our audience can reach Rosenberg Advertising.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, pretty much like I've been saying, and I think regardless of what you do, I've been a business owner, so I speak from the voice of a business owner. But even if you're not a business owner, I think whatever your field you're in, you care. Show people you care. And, and not only just say you care. Anybody can say anything, but show you care. Do things that, tangibly represent the fact you care. And I think that'll get you a long way. It's a simple value, that's probably taught in kindergarten. And I don't think a lot of colleges talk about, let's do a class on caring. But I think it's very valuable. And I feel that has been part of my success in our companies, is that it's not a bunch of BS. We practice what we preach. So I would say that, regardless of the field you're in. Basically, Rosenberg Advertising, it's www.rosenbergadv.com. You can go to our website. There's places where you can contact us. You will not be contacting me these days. You'll contact either my son, Austin Rosenberg, or our other partner, Melissa Sattler. Great young people. And, I think we will do a good job for you, but I appreciate the forum to talk to you, Peter.
The human touch of Dave Rosenberg. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, my man. Well, have fun in South Florida. Peace to you.
North Florida. I'm in North Florida.
Okay, North Florida, whatever. You're south of me. Bless you. So, Dave, thanks again.
Good seeing you, Peter. You look great.
You too, brother. This is Coach Cimarroni for Undeniable. We were with Dave Rosenberg, the human touch of Dave Rosenberg. Love to all.
Thanks, Peter.
You got it, brother. Talk soon. Cheers. Want to thank Brandon and his team at Edwin's Leadership and Restaurant Institute, our newest sponsor. What a marvelous mission. Thank you, Brandon, for bringing these wonderful people back into productive society at Edwin's Leadership and Restaurant Institute. Visit them at 13101 Shaker Square, Edwin's Restaurant. Thank you.